Self-care is what you do. Self-love is how you see yourself. But what about your inner child? The younger you still looking for love, safety, and validation. That's the part that changes everything. Hey guys, it's Adria. Welcome back to the Love by channel. This is our space to get real, break down culture, and talk about everything in between. Today, we're digging into self care, self love, and inner child healing, and how they're connected, how they're different, and how together they can transform the way you move through life. And just wanted to add a quick disclaimer. This episode is about reflection. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health, please reach out for professional support. You don't have to carry all of this alone. So let's start here. Self care and self love. People throw those words around like they're the same thing, but they're not. And that's the difference. Self care and self love. That's where the real shift happens. Self care is action, it's the doing the part. So it looks like journaling, going to the gym, taking a nap, doing your skincare routine, cooking yourself a good meal, all of that. All of that is self care. However, self love is a little bit different than that. Self love is a mindset, right? It's the being the part. It's saying no without guilt. It's accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. It's being able to actually sit with yourself and listening to that voice and not allowing, and when I say that voice, I'm talking about the chatter that we all hear when we actually pay attention to our inner thoughts, and being okay with that voice, being okay with facing yourself. It's loving yourself even on the days no one else does. It's being okay with being you, loving you for you, flaws and all. It's setting boundaries unapologetically. You see the difference between the self love versus the self care. And yes, they definitely do intertwine with each other. However, one is internal, right? While the other one is external. And think about it like this: self care without self love is like pouring water into a cracked cup. Sure, it feels good in the moment, but the cracks are still there. The cracks haven't left, and the water is going to seep through, and it's going to continue to seep through until it breaks. So, no amount of bubble baths, facials, or green juice is going to keep you filled. And honestly, to keep it real with you guys, for myself, I've definitely booked spa days, which of course felt amazing while you're there. Then going back home and you start scrolling and you start comparing yourself to whatever it is that you're seeing on social media. And the action behind it, right? Like going to the spa felt good. However, I wasn't necessarily working on myself enough to understand, whoa, I'm still feeling a little empty, or where is this emptiness coming from, right? And then we want to go ahead and start hanging out with people and feeling like, oh, maybe if I'm around people, that emptiness will go away. But it's it's not, and the empty is still there. And I know that I'm not the only one that experienced that. And I had to really channel myself and really go through it and go through the motions and being okay with being alone and being okay with listening to those voices and actually just being okay with like showing up for myself. And then I realized, because of course I have to add some stats. I can't just be saying things and there's no stats to back it up. Studies have shown from 2023 that 74% of adults say they practice self-care every day, but only 42% said they actually feel self-loved. So if 74% of people are practicing self-care, right? But then there's still a 42% that aren't practicing or are, but are still feeling that lack of self-love. That's a huge gap. Like that right there is where our inner child lives and where that healing needs to begin. So I want you guys to sit with this for a second. Are you really filling your cup, or are you just patching it for the moment? And then, next thing you'll just wait, you'll just hang out, you'll just be around people, and you're doing all the external work, but not doing any of the internal work. So I want you guys to pause for a second. When you treat yourself, do you truly believe you deserve it? Or are you just covering cracks? And if that's hitting you right now, go ahead and subscribe so we can unpack this together. You don't have to go through this alone. Okay, so now that we've laid down the groundwork, right? So we know the difference between self-care, self-love. We also know that we need to talk about the inner child, right? Because this is where self-care and self-love finally connect. And I'm sure you guys are thinking, what does that even mean, right? The inner child is a part of you that still holds on to old memories, old wounds, and old beliefs from when you were younger. It's a version of you that was told to be strong, the version of you that heard stay quiet, or even when you have to earn love to be worthy of it. And even though we grow up, those lessons, they don't always leave us. So, what does healing your inner child actually look like? It might look like speaking kindly to yourself instead of criticizing, allowing yourself to rest without guilt, setting boundaries and not feeling shame about it, or giving yourself the love, attention, and validation that you didn't receive when you were younger. And I know that it's much easier said than done, but honestly, it's just like practicing it a little 1%, practicing it at least one time a day. And then you can also think of it like this. Self-care is action. So we know that self-care is about taking care of your physical, right? Self-love is mindset. So taking care of your mind, your soul, taking care of the internal aspects of you. And inner child healing is the foundation that makes both sustainable. Because without tending to that little version of you inside, self-care and self-love can feel surface level. And we don't like surface over here. It could feel like temporary, like putting a band-aid over a wound that actually needs stitches. And here's the thing. It's not just about talking, and it's not just about just like us not actually understanding like the research behind it, because there is research that backs this up. Studies show that when people practice inner child work alongside of self-love and self-care, they report less anxiety, greater self-worth, and deeper emotional resilience. So this isn't just about feeling good in the moment. It's about rewiring how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. Like, it's that important. So I want to ask you right now, and I want you guys to ask yourself right now, what does your inner child need today? Is it rest? Is it reassurance? A little kindness? Or maybe just permission to feel safe again. And I want you guys to start small, but really be mindful and really try to think about it. Like, what is it that you really need? And what is it that you really need from yourself? So I want you guys to start small and subscribe so we can keep doing this work together week after week. And guys, now that we've met our inner child, let's talk about building self-love and how that ties directly into healing conversations from the inside out. Remember, self-love isn't something you do, it's something you are, something you can be. And the good news is practices help to reinforce that mindset. So it can be it could be something so small as journaling, affirmations, therapy, forgiveness. I think forgiveness is probably one of the most important ones because, like, you have to forgive yourself. In order to improve, you do have to forgive yourself and tell yourself, I'm so sorry that I didn't love you the way that I was supposed to love you. And you're talking to yourself because the only way that you can love someone else is by loving yourself wholeheartedly. And then you're able to exude that energy. People are able to really receive you on a different level when you can actually wholeheartedly love yourself, loving your flaws, being able to forgive yourself when you weren't there for yourself. That is extremely important. And also resting without shame. Every single one of these builds a mental and emotional muscle called self love. But self love isn't enough. The inner child we just talked about, healing that part of yourself means learning to reparent yourself. So, what does reparenting actually look like? And it can show up as speaking kindly to yourself instead of criticizing, right? Allowing yourself to rest without feeling guilty. Saying to yourself, you are safe now. You are loved now. And for me, I would say that this meant learning to like rest without collapsing, right? So this meant not always being on go and explaining to myself that just because I'm constantly on go doesn't mean that I love myself. Just because I'm showing up in that way, but I am not necessarily listening to my body when my body is telling me you've had enough, right? So, like, setting boundaries for myself and telling myself when it's time, you've had enough, it's time to rest. It's okay to rest. It's okay to take a moment and truly loving myself beyond what I do, beyond what I achieve, or how I show up. It wasn't instantly, it didn't just happen. It was over practice and patience, and really being patient with yourself, and a lot of small daily reminders. And it's funny because now, in order for me to feel some sort of validation for myself, I have to relax. I have to tell myself, just because I'm taking a break, it doesn't mean that I should feel guilty. It just means that at that moment, I am loving myself 100 times more than showing up for myself and giving myself half-assedness. And science will show us that consistent self-love practices can reduce anxiety and depression by up to 40%. And add in inner child work. The impact multiplies. Deeper emotional resilience, better boundaries, more peace with yourself, which is the most important. Because if you are not at peace with yourself, then guess what? Nobody else around you will feel peaceful. Nobody else around you. People don't even want to be around you if you don't have peaceful energy as is. And if they are around you and people know, y'all know who I'm talking about. Because when you are in at peace with yourself, you feel it, right? And that's what you are attracting. When you are not at peace with yourself, you can feel that. You can feel it in your gut. You can feel it in your heart. It's so important to come to peace with yourself. So here's a question I want you to sit with. Where are you practicing self-care, but ignoring self-love or your inner child? Maybe you're going to the gym, cooking healthy meals, even journaling, but not really checking in with your little version of you. So this week, pick one shift. Maybe it's adding a small self-love practice to your self-care or saying something kind to yourself each day. Whatever it is, start there. And don't forget to subscribe so we can work together week after week. And I want to know all about how you guys been practicing self-care and self-love. And okay, now that we've talked about self-care, self-love, and meeting our inner child, let's make this practical. Let's talk about what this actually really looks like in real life. So some examples can be like, you have your morning skincare routine, right? That's self-care. But if you're saying affirmations while you do it, that's self-love. So like, for example, if I'm in the morning, I'm getting myself together, and it's funny because this actually reminded me of my hubby, because when we met, something that he said to me really resonated, and throughout the years I will always think about it, where he said in the morning he'll go to the bathroom, wash his face, and takes a moment to look in the mirror and tells himself how he looks good. And that was a few years ago, and I would laugh and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cocky, right? Like, who says that? But the more I started working on myself and truly understanding like that self-love, like really feeling it, like I don't, he didn't need anyone else's validation. He needed his own validation. And that really resonated with me. And even till now, as I'm thinking about it, it's like, oh, stop. I do want to go to the mirror now and look at myself and tell myself, girl, you're the GOAT. Yes. And I don't need anyone else to tell me that, because, hey, I believe it. And that's enough for me, right? Another example could be like you're taking a nap. A nap, definitely self-care, because I love naps 100%. Walking away from toxic people, that is self-love. Hitting the gym, self-care. Reminding yourself that you're more than just productivity, that's self-love. And that's what I was talking about earlier. So you see how they pair together? You don't have to do one without the other. And here's the magic. Every time you affirm yourself or set a boundary, you're speaking directly to your inner child. You're saying, I see you. I love you. You are safe. Even the smallest gestures, like a kind word to yourself in the mirror or choosing rest over overworking, that's healing. That's reparenting. That's building long-term emotional resilience. And I definitely wanted to share a little challenge that I created for you guys, which is the 7-day self-care challenge. You guys can download. You'll see in my description right there. Just click download and you'll have access to it, and it's free. And what I wanted to create was a 7-day self-care challenge. So every time you do a self-care act, you pair it with a self-love practice and or something that can nurture your inner child. And it could be something small. Say a kind word to yourself while you shower, take a nap, and forgive yourself for needing it, not feeling guilty about it. Walk away from someone who's draining and remind yourself you are worthy of peace. Little by little, these tiny acts stack up. By the end of the week, you'll feel it a deeper connection to yourself, more calm, more confident, and more loved. So, I want you guys to write down your wins, even the small ones. Take a note of how you felt when you combined self care, self love, and inner child work, and share them with me. Comment and let me know. And I want us to journal and go through them together. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the check in tips and reflections we'll do together each week. And let's take this 7-day challenge and really practice loving yourself out loud. You got this, and your inner child is cheering for you. And guys, here's the truth: self care keeps you alive, self love helps you live, and healing your inner child, that helps generations thrive. It's bigger than just you, it's the legacy you create. When you actually love yourself, when you nurture your inner child, when you stop surviving and you start thriving, and that's the most amazing part about it. By doing this work, you're showing the next generation what love really looks like. We model boundaries, self-worth, and emotional resilience without saying a word. And that's the ripple effect of healing out loud. Okay? And I would love for you guys to share this episode with someone who is always doing it, but forgetting to love themselves. And don't forget to subscribe and let them know that this is a movement and we're healing out loud, we're healing together. And until next time, stay loved, stay grounded, and most of all, stay you. And remember that you are worthy of love every single day. And don't forget to love yourself. Bye, guys.